There we are. There we are. I had to go get a drink. Sometimes when I talk for an hour or so, it gets, my throat gets a little dry. So how's everybody doing out there in Final Cut TV land? Good old Final Cut TV land. We start our third year, fourth year in January, something like that. Hi, nobody. Good morning, Richard. Absolutely. Good morning. Glad to see you from the X platform, one of my favorite social media platforms of all. I get a kick out of people who said they, back whenever, I'm leaving X. I'm never coming back. And they went to other places, and now they're back again. All the majors, everybody with any importance is back on X. But that's not what I'm not on there for that nonsense. I'm just on there because I've been streaming on Periscope for years. One of the first places I streamed besides Facebook. Putting the finishing touches on episode 93 of Secret Places in the Open Air. Oh, that sounds interesting. You have to tell us more about that. Maybe you have already. I don't remember. Maybe you have already. I don't remember. So we're finally getting, let me just turn a couple of these apps off. We are finally getting fall weather around here. Finally. Make sure that's off, that's off, that's off. Yeah, everything's good. Finally getting fall weather around here. Public access series also on YouTube on the Ivan Taprod channel. There you go. Very, very cool. Especially if it's all edited in Final Cut Pro, which is what we talk about for the most part. For the most part. So I got a question for everybody. When we heard about the Creative Summit being postponed till the spring, if we had the Creative Summit in November, it probably would have been around Final Cut Pro 11.2, which was mostly about the iPhones, the new iPhones. I don't think that would have been a great summit if that was the update, 11.2. We're looking for something bigger for the Creative Summit. So the last two summits, we've got Final Cut Pro went from 10.8 to 11, and then from, let me see, when was that? Was that 2024 Final Cut Pro? Yeah, 2024 it went from Final Cut Pro 10.8 to 11. 2023, it went from Final Cut Pro 10.7 to 10.8, something like that, whatever. So they were bigger updates than 11.2 that just came out, because 11.2, as much as I enjoy it because I have an iPhone 17 Pro Max, they have to do more than that for a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, so that's just my comment. Yep, some motion as well. I don't know what's going on with motion. They haven't updated very much over the last 5 or 10 years. Good morning from Quebec. Quebec, Canada. Snow is supposed to get here tomorrow. That's early for us. We sometimes get snow in November. Yes, we do. Absolutely. Sometimes get snow in November. So I'm going to go down to film some live event stuff after we get finished on our normal Saturday get-together, and we'll talk about normal stuff. Here's what I'm a little concerned about. Between now and next spring, when the Creative Summit happens, is there going to be anything to talk about new from Final Cut Pro? except December, they're going to talk about the summit somewhat. They're going to give us some details about the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. What the details are going to be, don't know. Maybe they'll give us some of the speakers, some of the program. I don't think so. It's kind of early for that. A lot of times that gets changed right up to the last minute. So I think it's just they said we'll give you more information in December, just because a lot of people were disappointed it wasn't going to be November, and I was myself initially. But like I said, would I have been disappointed if we had the Creative Summit and the big thing was Final Cut Pro 11.2? I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes, because 11.2 was mostly about the iPhone ProRes RAW on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which is good for me, but not good for general Final Cut Pro audience. There's our friend Ben from down there in Louisiana, the swamps of Louisiana somewhere. Yes, sir. So between now and the spring, whenever that is, I hope there's something to talk about with Final Cut Pro. I hope there's something to talk about besides December. We'll talk for a little bit about when future media conferences and Apple announce something about the summit in the spring. But other than that, is there going to be any more announcements? Is there going to be any Mac hardware, more hardware coming out? Don't know. Do not know. Speaking of the fall, here's the fall around here. So we've lost a lot of leaves. You can see some leaves on the ground. We've lost a lot of leaves. I've done one big pickup so far. One big pickup, 30 bags out on the street for the company that picks up yard waste. I have places around the property that leaves are going to stay throughout the winter, a layer of leaves under those green pine trees, in front of those green pine trees, but you can't see it, is a white shed, and there's some other evergreen trees, and there's going to be leaves that are staying there. In the garden, leaves are going to be staying there. Out front of our property, I have some very, very large oak pine trees that line the road. Leaves will be staying there as well. But my general yard is going to be cleaned up. I got 2 more major cleanups to do, and then hopefully that's it for the winter. But I have the equipment. I got a new 0-turn lawnmower. Resolve and Premiere have had some impressive updates. I would hope Apple's next Final Cut Pro update will be major. I hope so as well, but I expect we won't see that until the Creative Summit. I mean, there's really no sense in having a Creative Summit if you don't have a big Final Cut Pro update. That's one of the things that happened in 2019, okay? We had a Creative Summit with no update whatsoever. There was nothing new. There was nothing new. They had the 2019 Mac Pro that hadn't come out yet, and that was in a demo room, but you couldn't touch it. They weren't demonstrating it because it hadn't been released yet. So 2019, it was really good, but there was no new Final Cut Pro information, demonstration, nothing. So I don't want to do that again. I'll wait for a Creative Summit that has a new version of Final Cut Pro and a big version, not just a small little upgrade. Hello from Denmark. Found a workaround that enables me to use my HOEM with the Lexar combo in vertical orientation. Yeah, in vertical, yes. Yes, vertical, yes, not horizontal. No, it doesn't work in horizontal. And you know what? Not only does the HOEM not work in horizontal, the brand new DJI OM8 is exactly the same thing. They shortened the gimbal arm, or they switched them around, and you can't back mount anything. You can't back mount anything that has a cable that goes around and attaches to the USB-C because it'll hit the arm. It's the worst design flaw that I've ever seen. These people haven't they been paying attention? People are mounting SSDs and things mostly SSDs on the back of their iPhones. And you didn't take that in consideration when you design these gimbals? I sure hope, well, it doesn't make any difference. If Insta360 does the same thing, I'm sticking with my Insta360 Flow 2 Pro because it has a much, much longer arm than the other one does, than the other two. But so far, both the other two don't have them. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Let me see, what do I have here? Lav Mike's gimbal. That's not it. Here, right here. So if you notice this picture here, the Hohem iSteady, this is the one that just came out, the V3 Ultra. If you can see how long the gimbal arm is, and then how long that one is, which is very short, compared to the gimbal arm above it, the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, which is dramatically longer. So when you put your iPhone in the clamp and you mount a back SSD, this is what happens. It hits right here. It won't rotate around. It will not rotate around. The Insta360, no problem. It has plenty of room. But these new gimbals with short gimbal arms, forget it. It's a really, really bad design. I am really, really surprised. This is what happens. It hits right there. So this is the Hohem iSteady 3 V3 and the brand new DJI OM8. I haven't tested that, but it looks like it's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. So, and I have a bunch of SSDs that go on the back, and I won't get a gimbal that does this. Well, I will absolutely not buy a gimbal that does it. Ben says he's so lazy he leaves the leaves where they are. I would have 2 to 3 foot of leaves in some places, literally 2 to 3 foot. So I can't just leave them. I can't leave them. Like I said, I don't care about some places, but the front yard, the side yard, my driveway, and the backyard have to be cleared because I also have winter time coming, and the snow would just, you'd have a big mess of soaking wet leaves sitting there decaying all winter. Some places, yes, but not. I don't want my front yard looking like that. No. Hello from New Jersey, Ben. Text-based editing is a must for it to be major. I must have mentioned even YouTube videos create transcript on YouTube Studio. Apple, why are you holding back? Absolutely, I absolutely agree. Text-based editing and an audio roles-based mixer would be my 2 big ticket items. The DJI still only has a payload of 300 grand. You're kidding me. You mean they put out a brand new gimbal and the payload is still 300 grams? I thought for sure all new gimbals going forward were going to be 400 grams. I've been disappointed in 2 things from DJI. The new Mic 3, which doesn't have a mic input. Their new DJI Mic 3 has no mic input. You cannot use a lav mic or a handheld mic. Right off the table for me. Absolutely a design flaw as far as I'm considering. And then the DJI OM8, well, he just said it's still a 300 gram payload, and you can't back mount. You can't mount. I mean, those SSDs that go on the back, whether it's magnetic or whatever. I mean, I got one right here. This is my favorite one. I'll show you. It won't work with these gimbals. well, one gimbal. It works with the Insta360 because I've been using it for years. This tiny little thing, okay? This is 2 terabyte SSD. It hooks on my iPhone just by plugging in like that. And it looks like this. That's the full size of the SSD, and it won't work on the DJI OM8, or it won't work on the new HOHEM because it hits this little place right here. It's so they shorten the arm so much that when you rotate it around, it hits the gimbal body. The Insta360, no problem. Goes all the way around. Now, this is my favorite SSD because it has 2 USB-C ports on it. One here for audio, so I can put my Hollyland Lark Max 2 iPhone receiver right here, and it still has power pass-through right here. So this little 2 terabyte SSD, it does not need a dock like the Lexar does. It accepts Pro Audio and a USB-C port here, and power pass-through right here at the bottom. This is my new favorite. 2 terabytes, Pro Audio, and I can power everything with a short cable to a battery pack if I wanted to. It won't work on either one of those gimbals. It won't work on either one of those gimbals, the OM8 or the HOHEM V3. It does work. It works fine on the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro because I've been using it for years. Is that an issue? I kind of think that what's coming may be related to Apple's work with AI, which they may have been behind on. I heard that they made a deal with Google, some kind of Google AI, some kind of a modified Google AI. Is it Google or Facebook? I can't remember. I thought it was Google because they already, Google and them already have a relationship. But I think it's already obvious that Final Cut Pro market-wise is already locked in as a tool for creators rather than, for example, commercials or broadcast work. Feature set-wise, at this point, people have done films. They do TV shows with Final Cut Pro. It depends. One thing you won't see me doing is I'm not going to say that, Final Cut Pro is the greatest NLE in the world. It's my favorite, but it is, behind on some modern features. Text-based editing's been out for 2.5 years on Premiere, Avid, and Blackmagic Design. 2.5 years we've had text-based editing. Now, you can use Lumberjack systems. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about native support for text-based editing. Okay, so they're 2.5 years behind everybody else at this point. So will we get it in the spring? I hope so. That's a big one, text-based editing. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Are you kidding me? Doing great. For the kick of it, I tried to connect the HOHEM to my daughter's iPhone 17 just to realize that it would block the camera bottom. Should that ever become a useful option you want to use? I hate to bring it up, but it's a reality. More NLE influencers on YouTube are doing videos about how stagnant Final Cut Pro has gotten compared to Resolve and Premiere. I'm not taking sides, just pointing it out. I'm not going to defend that. That's completely on the Final Cut Pro Apps team. Listen, I've called their development. Listen, it's not that I don't like them because there's some great people there, but for whatever reason, in the past, when we went from Final Cut Pro 10.4 to Final Cut Pro 10.5, it was like a glacial glacial. It took years to get from 10.4 to 10.5. I think 3 years. And when we got 10.5, what we got was compatibility with the new chipset. That was the big feature. 3 years we waited, and that's the big feature we got. No, that is very, very frustrating. I will never defend their development pace. Okay? I'm not here to try to convince anybody to use Final Cut Pro. It's what I use. It's a great NLE it's just quick and fast and intuitive, and it has some things that other people don't have. But I could edit on Blackmagic Design DaVinci Resolve if I had to. And I can use LumaFusion. Between the three of them, I would be fine. That's completely on them to defend their stagnant development pace. And I do say stagnant because I don't think anything's going to happen for the next 3 to 4 months. I don't think we're going to see anything from Final Cut Pro until the Greater Summit. I mean, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Could they give us a Christmas present and put a few features in, 11.2.1 or .2, whatever they want to call it? Yes, that would be great. But I wouldn't buy me a coffee on it. I think we're going to have to wait. That's very frustrating. Google Gemini, that's what it was. Okay. I like having Final Cut Pro and Resolve both. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I use them both for different reasons. And Resolve just had another phenomenal update. It's crazy what they do. Influencers and YouTubers use DaVinci because it's free. Well, there's limitations on the free version, but yes, they have the Blackmagic camera app, which is free, and then they have a free version of the Resolve. You're absolutely correct on that. You are absolutely correct on that. So one of the things that I did over this last week is Blackmagic camera app, the new version just came out, now does live streaming. So you can stream from the Blackmagic camera app. Now, there's a lot of things involved with that. I did a test. The connection was a problem. It was problematic. First off, you can't do cellular, which is ridiculous because most people stream live with their phones out in the field. They don't stream live with their phones inside the house. They have other options in the house. But out in the field, they're on the cellular connection. So that's the biggest thing they have to correct. Get it so it works on cellular. I tried it on cellular. It does not work. It says you have to connect to Wi-Fi. The other thing is the actual connection when I was inside and on Wi-Fi was flaky. I had to actually connect it 4 times, 5 times in order for it to stay locked on and have good quality. I got the small rig iPhone monitor, works great with BMD camera app, has issues with the Apple native camera app, but it's a neat monitor, getting a lot of use of it. Bit pricey, but handy. So Ben, I tried 6 of those monitors from different companies. I just didn't like them. They were too clunky. They were too thick. The screen was too small and a bunch of other things. So what I've done is I got a mirror now that I mount behind my iPhone, a big mirror. It's a big mirror like this. And I angle it down so I can see my camera, screen from in front. And I use that and it works fine. Final Cut application also makes it more stable, in my opinion. I'm not sure makes what more stable. You mean it is more stable? Could you bridge Wi-Fi to cellular with your other iPhone hotspot? That's what I did. I had my iPhone 17, which was what I was planning on streaming with. Let me think. Did I do that? Oh, you mean use my iPhone 16 and bridge it to the Wi-Fi, like bridge it to the cellular. I'll try that and see if that works, because I have both phones. I usually have the small rig monitor in my lap when I'm on camera. Absolutely. In that case, absolutely. But you can also do that with 2 iPhones in Blackmagic camera now. So I have an iPhone 17 and an iPhone 16, and I can use one as a monitor and one as the camera with Blackmagic camera, with the free Blackmagic camera app. So I can have my iPhone, pointed towards me this way, actually, and I can monitor it with another iPhone with the Blackmagic camera. But in that case, yes, holding it so you can watch it. Monitor is way cheaper than buying another iPhone. I don't have to buy one. I have one. No, I understand. I just didn't like them. I tried 6 of them, literally, from Amazon. And some of them didn't even work. And I just didn't like the clunkiness that it adds when you use it on the back of the phone. That's what I'm talking about. Holding it from a distance, yes. Yes, absolutely. And it is cheaper. Stream function with multiple iPhones. Yes. Or an iPad, my iPad Pro. You can monitor with that as well. So that's been the latest on me. Now, let me just check. I'm going to keep this thing plugged in so I can keep it. Where did that go? Oh, no. That's all right. There are connection problem with the small rig screen. I had problems with every one that I tried. I tried different brands. I didn't try small rig, but I had problems with connection. With just the screen mirroring situation. I just had problems with it. So, like I said, if I'm in a studio situation or whatever, just filming myself, I use a mirror now behind the camera, a big mirror, and it gives me a great view of my screen so I can frame myself and do all that stuff. It works really, really well. My eyes are not what they used to be, and there's no monitor. I'll see it at the distance I normally am from the phone shooting footage. It's got to be in my pocket or my lap. No connection issues at all. Now, I understand some people use them, some people don't. I've tried literally 6, and I just didn't like any of them. I was excited, but first off, they're smaller than the phone screen. They're dramatically smaller. So I don't have to buy another phone because I have an iPhone 16 and an iPhone 17. So I can use that as my monitor if I use Blackmagic camera. Now, if I don't use Blackmagic camera, I'll use the mirror, or I just have to I'll flip the camera around and just watch it do a selfie video, because the new selfie is better as well. It's like anything else. Works for some people it doesn't work for. So anyway, let me put up this video since we're talking about the Blackmagic camera. Oh, I'm going to play this first. What the heck? Let me turn that off. That wasn't supposed to be up there. Let me play this first. Look at this. Do you want to help shape the future of creativity? We are hiring, what does it say? We are hiring for our creative app teams at Apple. Let me put myself up there. Here we go. Looking for talented leaders and builders to join the world-class teams behind Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pages, Keynote, and more apps used by creators around the world. Now, number one is, I thought the Pro apps were Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Compressor, Motion, and Main Stage. I thought they were in the Pro apps. Now they're adding Pages and Keynote. Now, Keynote especially is really a nice app. Don't get me wrong. But they're saying creative apps team rather than pro apps. They're saying creative apps rather than pro apps. So that's interesting. This is one of the jobs: software engineer, manager, creativity, apps and framework. Project manager, creative apps. Now, is creative apps replacing the pro apps? That's my question. Creative apps is going to supersede the pro apps? Software engineer, creativity, apps and frameworks. Software engineer, AI, machine learning, music. Senior iOS engineer, creativity tools. Product designer, music creation apps. Now this is interesting. Business lead, pro apps acquisition. There's pro apps right there. So in this one ad, they have both creative and pro apps. But pro apps acquisition? Did you know they had somebody that acquires pro apps for Final Cut? Maybe that's how they got Pixelmator. I don't know. I found this one a little bit strange. Pro apps acquisition, but here's the word pro apps again. So creation apps, but pro apps is right there. That's it. So yeah, so with pro apps is there, and then creativity tools, creativity apps and pro apps. Are they the same? Are they going to merge all these apps into one bundle of some sort? Keynote, well, see, Keynote and Pages are free. They've always been free. So if they're going to bundle them, they're not going to get any money for those. Creative apps, pro apps. Creative apps on this side, pro apps on this side. Creative, pro apps. Which one is, what are they doing here? I guess we're going to find out shortly, but it's a little concerning considering the pro apps have been the main apps that we use for years, for like 13 years now. Pro apps acquisition would be purchasing pro level apps from other. That's what it seems like. I mean, that's what an acquisition is. I didn't know they had, this might be a new job. They're going to look for more pro apps to put in their whatever. Who in the heck knows? Ben, you're talking about the small rig 4850 wireless video monitor for phone. Did you not write that you would relocate to program for Apple last week? I think he did. Our friend Daniel, could creative apps become the new pro bundle integrating workflow with interactive pro team? Well, the thing is, in that one thing they said Final Cut Pro, Motion, Logic, Pages, and Keynote. They mentioned all those in the same category. Let's go back and look at that again. So, looking for talented leaders and builders to join the world-class teams behind Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pages, Keynote, and more. Apps used by creators. We're hiring our creative apps team. We're hiring our creative apps team. And they mentioned Final Cut Pro and Logic. We're hiring our creative apps team. That means if they're hiring the team, that means it's a brand new team. But Final Cut Pro, Logic, Pages, and Keynote. Creative apps. What about the pro apps? You used to have pro apps, and is that going away? What about the pro apps, current pro apps team? I hope not. Sounds like a rebranding. A lot more potential customers looking for creative apps versus pro apps. Right, but the putting Keynote and Pages in with Final Cut and Logic, that seems to be, Keynote's a great app, don't get me wrong, but Keynote is free. Pages is free. Final Cut Pro's $299, Logic Pro's $199. There's something that's not connecting somehow between the categories. I understand rebranding if that's all it is. I completely understand that. But it says they're hiring a new team for the pro apps. What about the existing? I mean, not the pro apps. They're hiring a new team for their creative apps. What about the existing pro apps team, which are great people, all of them? They're all great. I've met them multiple times. They're the best. I mentioned relocating to work for Apple last week. I would love to work on software that helps creatives be more productive. Let's hope all this job nomenclature is not a prelude to the dreaded subscription model. Maybe that's why they're holding back. No, once again, Keynote and Pages are free. It's been free since they've been both introduced. They're not going to start a subscription for a free app, would they? Safari's free, Notes is free. There's lots of free apps. Keynote and Pages have both been free. No. That would be a huge mistake if they did a subscription only for the Mac version of Final Cut and Logic. If they added it as an option, that doesn't bother me as long as they're not thinking about doing subscription only. The other thing is they know, we've told them multiple times at the Creative Summit in person, don't even think about doing subscriptions for Final Cut Pro, for the Mac version. You did it for the iPad version, which is the reason I have not tried it and I will not try it. I'm not interested in another subscription. Maybe content for Apple TV secret. I can't imagine anyone paying a subscription for Pages. Poor old Pages. Pages is like the motion is, or compressor on the Pro Apps team. Not that it's bad, but Keynote's really, really good. Keynote is really good. Steve Jobs developed that because he wanted that app. So he had him develop it when he was still alive. And he used it all the time. Now, I'm not worried about subscription for Final Cut. That would be a huge mistake. That would be one of the things that would make me look. That would be one of the things that would make me look more seriously to using Blackmagic as my primary NLE. But that doesn't mean I believe it's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen. I make a living with Pages. Yep, there's nothing wrong with Pages. Text-based editing use Pages and Keynotes for output to some type of Final Cut Pro project. Boy, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'm looking forward to the day when Final Cut Pro can do text-based editing and have a roles-based mixer. Now, here's the thing I get a kick out of people. All I need is this one feature, and that's all. I don't need nothing else. You're a cheap date, if that's your opinion. You are a cheap date. They've got years of development ahead of them. Adding one or two features that you want and saying that's it, that's all you need. It's not very forward thinking. I've been hearing that for years. Oh, just all I need is this. All I need is this. No, I need as much as we can get in there and still keep it working like it is. And still keep it working like it is. Let's go over there and watch this. So we watch that. Let's go over there and watch this. So this is the, I did a test live stream of Blackmagic camera live. I actually did the live stream live. This is a short little condensed version of my experiences with that. I'm just testing the Blackmagic camera app out with the new live streaming to YouTube feature. So right now it's working. But the other times the Blackmagic camera app is not sending a strong enough signal to YouTube. I would go back there and say 0 kilobits a second. I'm on a very, very fast Wi-Fi. So I have two microphones hooked up. The Comica VM40 hooked up to one of my Hollyland Lark Max 2s. Plugged right in. You can't do this with the DJI Mic 3 because the DJI Mic 3 does not have a mic input. That's a problem for me. I use this shotgun all the time. All right, now I'm just going through my other microphone right here so we don't have two microphones. This is the Blackmagic camera app streaming to YouTube. Very, very interesting. I'd like to see the Final Cut camera app get this as well. It's working. This is like the third, fourth, fifth time that I tried to connect. Finally, it connected to YouTube. What was happening, I could see it on the camera. The YouTube connection was dropping to 0 kilobits a second. Let's answer this question first. Good morning, Rich. Is the Blackmagic live streaming, is it free? To YouTube, yes. The app is free. Streaming is free to YouTube. It goes to YouTube. It goes to Twitch. And there's a third one. Let me see what the third one is. I'll pull it up here. Blackmagic camera. That's the wrong bunch. It goes to another streaming service. YouTube, Twitch, and Vimeo. YouTube, Twitch, and Vimeo. Free. If you use the Blackmagic Cloud, you have to pay for the cloud storage, and you can stream from there or to there as well. Apple is definitely losing iPad sales due to the Final Cut Pro subscription model. I tried it at the App Store, and it's very good. Why would they be losing iPad sales? First off, you mean for something else? I'm not sure what you mean. Compressor and Motion are good software. I understand, but they don't get as much attention as Final Cut and Logic Pro. They don't get nearly the attention. If Apple would only get that telepathic interface finished, that's all I need. I wouldn't need anything else. That's what I hear all the time. My feature I need. I mean, for years I was scrolling time, Mr. Scrolling Timeline, but I didn't stop there. That's just one of the things that I wanted. When we got it, I still wanted other things. I want text-based editing and a roles-based mixer. I use Pages to track my hours and balance my checkbook. Used it to track my MPG as well. My internet provider right now is Xfinity, but they have a new company out here that has 100% fiber connection. I might try them. This is the first time we've had that. It's coming. They're connected to my house, but I haven't seen the prices. I'm waiting for other people to try them out and iron out all the kinks. Do you prefer the Blackmagic camera application or the Final Cut Can stream application with Final Cut? Blackmagic camera application is a great application. A lot of times I don't need the complexity of that, so I use Final Cut Camera, but that doesn't stream. So, nice jacket, Ecamm Live. Would like a Final Cut Pro version. Looks great. So, I won that from Ecamm Live years ago because I was being helpful on their forums and helping people, and they gave it to me, sent it to me for free. I also want it to mix drinks and do laundry for me. I want it to make espresso. When I sit down, I want a little thing to pop out and I can make espresso while I'm right there. That would be what I would like. I would have bought an iPad if I purchased the Final Cut Pro license. Oh, that's what you mean. You mean because of the subscription. Look, here's the thing. I don't like subscriptions. I don't like subscriptions that kill your software once your subscription ends. I have multiple apps that have subscriptions that just freeze you at the level that you're at when the subscription ends or the year ends. Waves plugins, they work fine. I don't have a current version, but they freeze you at the functionality of that version. Hedge does the same thing with their apps. You're frozen at the version when your subscription expires, but they don't lock you out of your software. I have a couple of other ones. The thing about the Final Cut subscription is it's so reasonable, $4.99 a month. I mean, it's so reasonable, and it's easy to start and stop. Start the subscription, and if you're not going to use it for a couple months, stop the subscription so you can save $4.99. It doesn't keep ringing up every month. You can stop it. So if you're going to use it for a month, say you're traveling and want to use it, subscribe. Use it. Unsubscribe, and it won't renew at the end of the month, but you can still use it for that entire month. So two things going for it. Extremely affordable price point, $4.99, $5 a month, and it's super easy to start and stop this subscription. You can do it a dozen times if you wanted to. Use it for 1 month, take off for 2 months. Use it for 1 month, take off for 2 months. So as far as that goes, but the problem is if you stop paying a subscription, it stops working, of course. I would have bought an iPad if I could purchase a Final Cut Pro license. We'll see what they're doing with that going forward. It would not surprise me that they would have a license for the Final Cut version on the iPad that you can buy. But remember, Premiere is now free on the iPhone. Without AI, it's free. Let's see if Apple competes with that and does a free version for the iPhone. I would be surprised. Putting Final Cut Pro on an iPhone is difficult. Developing an app from the ground up for the iPhone is completely different, like LumaFusion. Completely different. So we'll have to see how that goes. When you went live on YouTube using the Blackmagic app, did you log into YouTube via Blackmagic or you logged into both separately? So you have to, let me go back to that movie. I'll show you. That's not what I wanted. I don't know why that was muted. That shouldn't have been muted. So what you have to do is enter your stream key from YouTube into the Blackmagic camera app. Once you enter that, it says platform YouTube. Whenever you hit the live stream button, you are live at that point. There's no countdown. There's no nothing. And then you also have the ability to stream in high quality, which is what I had there. So you don't have to log into YouTube other than to get your stream key. That's the only thing that you need. And you can set the server to primary, secondary. That's how it works. But as soon as you hit that live stream button, you're live on YouTube. There's no other way, nothing else you have to do. Apple has job opening for senior software engineer, video applications in Boulder, Cupertino, San Diego, and Seattle, but way more for Vision Pro software developments. Senior software engineer, yeah, that's interesting. I would work for Apple if they had an office around this area. I'd go in for something. Well, they have a couple of stores. I'm not interested in, well, I could teach Final Cut Pro at the stores, I guess. That's the one I applied for. Well, keep in touch with people over there. I'm sure that Apple is, just like any other company, you go to work for them, and then all of a sudden this is like a regular job. Yeah, of course it is. So, we don't know a time frame for the Creative Summit yet. We don't know anything about it. We're supposed to know within a month, in December, so I presume the beginning to middle of December. They're not going to make the announcement around Christmas time. So I think the first, second week of December, we should hear something. It might not be a whole lot, but hopefully they've decided on a time at that point so we know, book airfare, because the further you book ahead, the cheaper the prices are typically. Aiming Final Cut Pro for iPad at younger creators don't make sense when you need the most expensive iPad to run it. Well, the thing about that is, Burke, is the kids are growing up using iPads and iPhones. So they're not used to mice and keyboards the way when we grew up. So they're automatically using iPads and phones, so they're more used to that interface. And I think that's what, I think Final Cut for the iPad was a good idea. I think they should offer it as a one-time purchase for 1 year, 2 years of updates. I don't even care if it costs the same as the subscription. I don't like the idea of a subscription. Look what they've done with Apple TV. Apple TV started at a really reasonable rate. This year, they're raising it 30%. They're raising it 30% from what it was. So I think it was $9.99. Now it's going to be $12.99. It's ridiculous. Once they get you on a subscription model, there's no preventing them from raising it. That's the problem. Can we stream with Blackmagic camera, but also several iPhones? If so, how do you go from one camera to another? No, I think you have to use the phone that you're streaming on. I think somebody tried to do a multicam thing where you had the cameras on the iPad and switch, but at this point, they didn't switch in the live stream. So I had to train someone to run social media during a live stream. Young kid, had no clue what a trackpad was. That's what I'm saying. They're used to the touch interface. In the past, here in Quebec, Apple Store, we're having in-store learning class. I don't remember when that stopped. So yeah, they do have Final Cut Pro classes, maybe Logic Pro classes at the different Apple stores. And of course, it's free. You have to sign up for them. But I mean, I would consider doing that in the locals. I have 2 stores. As a matter of fact, one of the stores is the first Union Apple store in the world, which is in Towson. They opened that up years ago. That's about 35, 40 minutes from me. Columbia is a little closer, Columbia, Maryland. Content creators are demanding higher subscription fees. Production costs are outrageous. I don't want to hire anything. I want to keep things the way they are. I like my Final Cut Pro the way it is. I don't mind paying for an update, $100 for an update, a major update. It had to be major, not like the updates have been recently. So, let's look outside here. Not too bad. We've lost a lot of leaves. You can see a couple of those trees are bare. Oak trees. There's a squirrel running through the yard. Lots of squirrels, acorns. They've been burying acorns forever. They bury them for the winter. Sometimes we don't get that much snow. We didn't get much snow last winter. I don't think I used the snowblower that much. I'm getting a new snowblower though, because when we get a heavy snow, that older snowblower, I have an old Sears one, Craftsman. It's been great up to this point, but I want to get a new one. So I'm getting an Ariens 28-inch SHO, super high output. It throws 72 tons of snow an hour. That's what they claim. 72 tons an hour. And it can throw it 65 feet away. That's a snowblower. That would be phenomenal. Mine throws it about 15 feet away. But it's a much older, I mean, it's like 10 or 12 years old. Okay, gotta go. Make TV shows, Richard. Gotta make money to support my addictions to electricity, food, hot water. Have a good weekend, y'all. Peace. Thank you, Ben, for tuning in. We always enjoy it when you tune in. Thanks. I was referring to content for Apple TV, Netflix, Paramount, etc. Gotcha. But, I mean, I stopped subscribing to Netflix because they're just too expensive. They used to be, what, $8, $9, $10? Then I just let it run month after month after month. Now, there's no way. Apple TV, $12.99 a month? No way. I'll get it for 1 month out of the year, unless they give it away for free for a couple of months. Sometimes they do that. Specials. Then I'll get that, or a cheaper price if they give you 3 months for $3.99 a month, something. I'm not paying $12.99 a month. There's a few shows that I really, really like that I will subscribe to their network for 1 month once all the shows become available, all the episodes become available. One of them, the most recent one, is From the creators of Lost, Carlton Cuse. From is one of my favorite TV shows, and the new season has just come out or just started. Another one is Stranger Things. I mean, they had a debut in the movie theater, and I heard they're going to do the last finale in a movie theater. So I don't know what that's going on there, but I would subscribe to Netflix if that entire season was available. I'm not going to do it. It's too expensive. Too expensive. Is Apple targeting the creator economy with new pro team, or Hollywood and broadcast still one of their targets? No, that's always been a part of their grand scheme of things, but it's never been dominant. Never been dominant. It's only been, that's if they wanted to dominate the Hollywood scene, they would have done it a long time ago. They probably would have built a different app or changed Final Cut Pro differently. That's not their interest. Their interest is more the middle section. The low-end section can use iMovie on their phones, iMovie on their iPads, iMovie on their Macs. It's free. The middle section is what they're really interested in. Schools, colleges, YouTubers, documentary filmmakers, perhaps. They get films occasionally. Usually when the editor says, I want to edit in Final Cut Pro, if they want that editor, that's it. Morning Show is very good on Apple TV. I watched the first 2 seasons, and then it started getting too politically correct for me. It started doing stuff that I just not interested in watching on television. Cliches, let's say. It got too cliche-ish for me. The first 2 seasons were okay, but I was always like, are they gonna head down this path? Start going, oh yes, whatever. I don't want to even get into it. So I haven't watched the last episode of season 3 or 4. Oh, the other thing, I will subscribe to Apple TV for Slow Horses. When the new season's out, when all those episodes are out, I'll get it for 1 month. And Severance is excellent on Apple TV. There's a lot of great shows. Silo. So I'll wait till I can get get a month's worth out of it, and I'll get it for 1 month and then unsubscribe. Now, here's the thing. It's good. It works out well. With stuff that's involved with Apple, if it's on your Apple iPhone, it's so easy to subscribe and unsubscribe. So if I get Apple TV for a month, I pay it. 2 days later, I unsubscribe, so I don't have to remember to unsubscribe at the end of the month. It'll run through the entire month and just won't renew. So it won't renew. So that's what I like. That's one of the things I like about anything on the phone as far as subscription. Just go to one place, all your subscriptions are there. So I won't be getting Apple TV maybe in December if all of the Slow Horses or episodes are out. I don't think there's anything else. Cliche, a French word. You start to speak French, Richard. I took French in high school, and I used it a little bit. So in the mid-'80s, I went to Paris because Cub Coda, the guy that wrote Smoking in the Boys' Room with Brownsville Station, if you know that song, Smoking in the Boys' Room, it was done by a group called Brownsville Station. Cub Coda was the guitar player, singer, songwriter for that group. He produced my first EP for a record company out of Boston called Star Rhythm Records. We mixed it together. I went up to Boston and flew up to Boston. And we mixed the EP in like 8 hours. I brought the tapes up. We mixed them and stuff. He mixed it. And that was my first EP, first record with Star Rhythm Records. And so I met Cub Coda through the record company. Cub was going over to Paris because he had a record coming out, a New Rose record or Red Rose record, something Rose over in Paris. And they said, the record company guy in Cub said, you want to go to Paris? And I said, no, not really. And they said, what else are you doing for the next couple of months? And I said, nothing. I said, all right, I'll go. So we went over to Paris in the mid-'80s. And that was really, really cool. So I use a little bit of French. My memory of French from high school, I used a little bit when I was over there. But I don't know much. And speaking it, not really. But anyway, cliche is just it's a common American phrase too. It probably means the same in both places. Well, this is my hope and fear. My hope is that we have some activity in the Final Cut Pro world between now and the Creative Summit in the spring. Something. An update with a couple of features. Something. Because if my fear is there's going to be no Final Cut Pro activity between now and the Creative Summit. And that would be months of nothing new in the world of Final Cut Pro, which would be very difficult to keep on talking about Final Cut when there's nothing new. Good chat. have to head out. Have a great week. Yes, it means the same thing. Yeah, I'm heading out myself. Yeah, I'm going to keep these chats to, right now we're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. That's a nice amount. But there's really nothing new to talk about. You come on here. That's why I bring up Blackmagic camera app and stuff. But this is Final Cut TV. So we talk about all kind of things. I do a lot of mobile stuff. I told you about the gimbals. I told you about Blackmagic Camera Live streaming, which I'm glad it's there. I'd like to see it in the Final Cut camera app. The good thing is with the Blackmagic camera app, so you can record in anything that you want and stream live at the same time. So it records it to the phone and it streams live. Now, you can't record ProRes RAW and stream live. I tried that. You can't do that, but you can use H.265 4K recording into the phone, and if you want to stream 1080p to YouTube, you can do that at the same time. So that's what I do if I'm going to YouTube. The features I'd like to see in the Blackmagic camera app are, I'd like to see the ability to record 2 cameras at the same time, separate files, not like Apple's done and they burn it in so you don't have separate files. I'd like to see the ability to record 2 of these cameras at once, front and back or 2 in the back, and keep separate files, separate 4K files. I'd like to see them add that, and then I'd like to see them add the ability to live stream via cellular connection. Right now it's only Wi-Fi. But the one person suggested that that might work. I'll have to try it. If I connect my iPhone 16 to this cellular connection, isn't that considered a Wi-Fi connection? So maybe I'll stream from my iPhone 16 Pro Max rather than my iPhone 17 Pro Max. I'll test it out and see if that works. Anyway, if you want to watch the full video, the Blackmagic camera video, it's on my YouTube channel. I see Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve going in parallel route. The one you select depends on your workflow. Somewhat parallel, but DaVinci Resolve is much more complex than Final Cut. It has a lot more features. I love the dual timelines. I like the dual browsers. I like the text-based editing. They've had it for years. It works really, really well. From the Apple jobs opening, it looks like the new team should focus on the UI of Apple apps across Pro and Creative apps. Whatever that means, hopefully it would speed up Pro apps development. I like the Pro apps to stay as Pro apps, personally. That would be my preference. Pro apps stay as Pro apps. That would be okay with me. But I hope Pro apps team will give you a round of applause. I hope there's something to talk about before the Creative Summit. Over the winter, January, something. Couple of new updates, an update with a couple of new features. Save the big ones for the Creative Summit. 100% agree with that. But don't leave us hanging for 6 months at a time with nothing going on. That's a bit frustrating, especially with the speed of development of like Blackmagic Design and Resolve and their camera app and everything else. Really. Really, really, really. All right, I'm going to get out of here for today. If anything else happens, hey, don't forget to tune into the, hoping you can join the Final Cut Pro team. Exactly. Don't forget, subscribe over in the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Well, that's interesting. Here we go. This is it. Oh, it's not working. That's really strange. Like and subscribe over there in the YouTube channel, and you'll be notified of anything I do. I put up a couple new videos this week. It's not all Final Cut Pro, it's other things. I do videos about yard work equipment that I use around here. So, but anyway, if anything happens, if they do an update to Final Cut 10.11.1, which will probably be a bug fix, they can do a bug fix and throw a feature or two in, or an improvement to an existing feature or something. That'd be fine. But I hope there's not radio silence for the next 4 months, because that makes it very difficult to keep promoting Final Cut. Makes it very difficult. All right, everyone. I am going to get out of here. You all are the best Final Cut Pro audience, live audience of anyone. If you train AI with your cat, they will charge you a copyright. They do have job openings. It only mentions the pro apps, so the other one seems to be an additional team. It seems weird, though, that they mentioned Final Cut and Logic in that other one, the creative apps. That's what's weird. They mentioned Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro in the creative apps ad. I don't know what that means. No idea. We'll find out, but at least we'll get some news in December about the Creative Summit. That'll be one thing. That'll be one little bump that'll keep us going for a week or two. I mean, I do expect 11.2.1 to drop at some point. That'll be a bug fix probably. I would say before Christmas. It should very possibly drop. All right, everyone. If I don't see you before then, I will see everybody next Saturday. Thanks for tuning in.